All right, we're gonna take a look at "Let It Grow," both Jerry and Bob's parts. This song is this song is no joke. There's a lot going on here, and so much so I'm gonna use my iPad here. Sometimes I like to hide the fact that I might be reading a chart, because I'm always preaching, memorizing, stuff, but memorizing for the right situations. If I'm ever going to a studio recording or I'm playing some big gig, everything I try to memorize. But for this, I'm not going to be gigging this song out anytime soon. So let's just look at it part by part, so I make sure I'm organized. Let's give a listen to hearing Jerry and Bob play over the first part. See if I can even remember here. We're going to be doing the intro, verse, and chorus. Let's do it all at once here. Give a listen both parts. You can see it split screen, and I'm going to break down what's going on. I'm going to start with Bob's part, then we'll do Jerry. We're just going to do it for the whole song. This is the beast of a tune. So get ready. All right, now of course too, if you want to try this stuff out for the Jerry's parts, I have got a backing track for it. You can follow along yourself, but let's look at the Bob one first. We have up here. This song, it changes keys, does all kinds of stuff a lot, but it revolves around A minor, so it's just in the key of A minor, right, for the most part, but it's changing. So we've got this chord shape right here. This is an E minor, I'm sorry, A minor 7. I'm already getting confused. I'm already going to an A minor 7, right? And just these three notes, very, very rhythmic thing. And sometimes it may change too. I listen to some different versions, and the song makes my head spin. But I listen to versions, I was like, of course, they're doing different things, different versions, different time periods. So this is, I don't know. I think maybe I got a lot from. It was from Springfield, where my dad grew up, Massachusetts, '78. I forget the exact date, but there's, an album out of that show. Like a purplish cover and stuff. Springfield, '78. And then I also was looking a little bit to see stuff from I think it was Winterland '74, one of those great videos that looks so good. I love that show. But they were different. It was like, I was like, just when I thought I figured it out, like that's something different. Anyways, I digress. This is going to be a long video if I'm digressing like this much already. But here he is playing it. This is why we're going to stick with just this kind of approach here, just to think of it as a guide. And then gets to this shape right here, which is playing an E7 flat 9. And if you know what that is, you'll be like, my head is spinning. In the jazz world, it's a common, or they call that an altered chord, an altered 5 chord. So it has a flat 9 right there, which is basically just 1 fret higher than the root. So it's really Here it gets the E, really harsh, because here's an E, here's an F, calling it a flat 9. I'm not going to get crazy into theory here. If we did that for every chord and all the notes, Jerry's doing everything in this thing would be like a, hour or two hours long, yeah? So, I'm going to try to keep it short. So that's what Bob is doing. He got that, and then, all right, he's doing that. So that's the intro. Then the verse, I actually thought he was doing this diminished climbing thing, and then listening more closely, that's what Jerry's doing. So Bob does the same thing. He just hangs on this here, that E7 flat 9. Does it a couple times, and then he does this thing right here. He goes. So now really opening it up. You can call it an A minor, add 9 with no fifth. I don't know, weird thing, and then sliding up here to this. Right, and then going to a. I love these kinds of chords. C sus2. So it's like a C major, but without this right here, making it a sus2. Really jazzy sound. Hangs in it. 3 measures, and then B minor, just 2 beats. A lot of this stuff were just two measures at 2/4, makes it even harder. And they do that in so many songs, but they often feel like it flows, like the more song-like traditional song stuff. This one, it's like a little more jarring. I know it's a little tricky. You gotta really kind of count it out sometimes. So B minor, 2 beats, and then to a D. Right? Then to the next part. I'm calling this the chorus. I don't know how you want to label these parts here. They're not that clear cut. Hanging on the D to an A7. Now we got this kind of Spanish sound. So that's now kind of pretty easy, straightforward, just D, A7, right? Then he goes to this B minor. And you can always play it here. I mean, these types of little differences don't really matter that much. But we've got that B minor, and then the same thing here again. Does the toys. That's C sus2. This time it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, and E sus2. So it's an easy chord. You just slide it up 4 frets to there. But the timing is really tricky with all that stuff. So that is the breakdown in a nutshell of Bob's parts. Now looking at Jerry. See again, I don't have memorized here. And I could edit this out, try to make myself look all smooth, but kind of my point here is like, yeah, it's all right here. Just trying to show you how I navigate these challenging things like this. So now we've got Jerry's stuff. He's playing just a little version of a different version of the A minor 7, like this. And again, this is just this one thing. I'm taking it from one of the 2 shows. I actually don't remember which one. I kind of maybe mix and match, kind of like in a way that made sense. That I thought I could kind of like tell people how this kind of works with what's going on, Like, okay, so this makes sense, this works. Oh, sometimes I didn't put this in the chart here, but he's throwing a little pull off here. And he's playing this. It's just another way of playing this. It's just a different voicing for the same thing here. But it's a diminished arpeggio, or actually they both are. So we'll get a little bit more of that in just a second. And he does it a couple times. Then he moves up. Again, you could do that over and over for the intro, but he moves it up to here. So technically not an A minor 7, just an A minor triad. And then plays this shape right here. It's the same thing as this. Just another version of it. So look at that F there, that flat 9. And then does it again. And then I heard him go up to, this is a little different. Instead of making a flat 9 there, he's just playing an E diminished chord there. The last time I heard that one version, but I wouldn't worry that part that too much. Then he gets into the verse, right? Same thing. Then he's going like this, the same shape here, but doing it down here. And this would be a G sharp diminished, B diminished. And you can kind of pick around it if you want, whatever you want to do. And that gives it some movement and stuff. And that's just all these different ways of playing this alternate thing, that making that 5 chord, what they call it, the E7, sound more out there, right? And so sometimes he does that. This one version he did it, I really like that. But he also sometimes will just play the E diminished scale, which is just. I'm sorry, oops. messing it up here. See? Basically, you're starting on an E, and you're just going up a fret, up 2 frets, up a fret, up 2 frets. It's easy to do on one string because it's that same pattern throughout, and then I'll give you basically all these out notes. So that's kind of like what he's doing there. And I use this stuff so infrequently in just my own playing that I'll admit I'm not super fluid with the diminished scales. There's been time periods when I first learned, I was like, this is so awesome, and went kind of crazy with it. But then found that there just wasn't a lot of situations that I was using it. I ended up, just for my own personal taste in music, going back to just some more stuff, that speaks to me. So I'm not as fluid as I once was, or as I would maybe like to be, but I guess no, I chose to be where I'm at. So that's what is going on there, and that's what when we look at the solo section, using that a little bit more as well. But sometimes during the verse, he'd be doing that, or sometimes, again, just climbing up those chords. So if you're thinking about the chords again, he's back to the second half. Then he does this, and then it gets cut off, and then it's going to the where Bob's in. But Jerry's going. So that's pretty cool. Like that. And then so he does that twice, and he slides it up, slides to a B for the B minor, and then D, and now he's just messing around, like D, major pentatonic a lot, Same stuff for A. Now A major pentatonic. So that kind of stuff works. Back to the D. And then we get to the end there. He's up here. Again, this is one version. So many different ways he's probably played it. But he's got this B minor triad shape. And then just little sliding there. Just playing this A and E. So the root fifth of an A, or A minor. And then he does the C6. So Bob's playing his C sus2. He's doing a C6. And they work together. And he goes, plays it, and then picks across. Sounds so cool. And then in that 2/4 measure goes, and that's playing a C major 7. And then goes up to the, resolves that E minor, and then a quick playing this note from the E minor scale, C. That same shape from Bob at the beginning, the A minor, doing it for E minor here. Sorry, E minor 7. And then back to the A minor. Stuff does it all again, and then it goes into the bridge. So let's give that a listen. We'll look at both parts and breakdown of what's happening in the bridge. Got there. You didn't see this part, got cut out. I'm back to my my Bob PDF, scrolled up to the bridge part here. So many chords in this song. This is just really a chord full of lots of chords here. So anyways, it goes right on the E. This part's got a lot of chords in particular too, and it's changing a lot. Measures of 2/4, all kinds of stuff going on here. Hitting that E sus2 again. It sounds like it's really hitting hard, really aggressive part of the tune. The whole tune's pretty aggressive except for the chorusy part. So you get the E sus2, B, classic Bob stuff, just play the middle part of the little inversions. G in the C shape for just 2 beats. Back to the E, and then hanging on it. Then we've got C down here. And you can play these even different ways. I'm sure he mixed this up. This isn't like, oh, this is the exact way. It's just the way I was hearing him do it. B minor, and then back up. And same stuff there. And now finally changing it. D, so like D but like this. A, the C shape up here, and then G, descending, D D over F sharp, E minor, and then real quick here, back to that. So that's all right on the beat. If you're gonna practice anything for Bob's part, really in the whole tune, it'd be like this one measure will be like the one to focus on if you want to not have like a hiccup in the middle of the tune, because it goes fast. And again, C, G, here's a D sharp diminished 7, another part of that diminished sound of the song, to E minor, leads right into it. And then back to this. 1, 2. And that's it for Bob. Now let's jump back over to Jerry here. Should have prepped this spot here. Where is it? There it is. So yeah, this is really cool. This kind of reminds me of, I used to play in a Talking Heads cover band, like Talking Heads type funky stuff. I mean, this is actually written in that same time period of 70s music, and he's got B and F sharp, and he's playing it between the chords. So the E, B, G, same thing. He just right, and that reminds me of like this one time I was in a studio laying down guitar for a singer-songwriter, and there was a producer, and this one song was just like, it had this like kind of long chord progression, maybe something like this, and I was kind of like more playing along with the chords, make my part, and the producer guy didn't really, he just wasn't feeling it, and that's all right. He had the idea of like, he's like, let me see the guitar, and he's not even really like, he was like a really good ear, but he was not like a crazy guitar player or on any instrument. He just dabbled, jack of all trades. He dabbled in different instruments, but had just a really good ear and a good creative energy. And he was like, how about something like this? And he just played something, I don't even remember what it was, but he just played something that was like this. It was the same thing over and over, and at times it didn't even it clashed with the chords, but because it was that same thing over and over, it just kind of glued it all together, and it was like the perfect part. It was so much better than what I was doing. And this reminds me of that. I may think like, why not just play with the chords? But it goes against some of them, but it ties it together, and it creates the simplicity of the same thing over and over, and it just helps simplify this crazy chord progression. And it just works, It ties it all together. It just gets out of the box of trying to think like you have to match it up with the chords, that kind of stuff. So anyway, it just reminds me of that. But then he does start playing with the chords, and then he plays a C triad here, a G triad, and then part of a B minor, and hammers down back to this part up here, and then for the D, now he starts playing little lead lines. Just this little thing going up root, third, the sus four, same thing for A, and then outlining the chords. This is a little different here, and then E minor, and then this little thing to lead into his line, climbing up, like a bass part, just going up with the chord C. This is the 5th of G, and then here's that diminished note going right to E, and then back to his same thing here for. And then the same C6, just kind of pick around it however, a little thing leading up to the. There we go, that's the bridge. Now let's look at the solo part for Jerry, and Bob's doing this basically the same thing, so we don't have to do Bob, we'll just listen to some Jerry ideas, and then I'll show you what's going on. for a lot of this, he's just playing, like A minor, like A minor pentatonic, even like a little blues scale, even though you may think, oh, this isn't bluesy at all, but the blues scale is just a great little thing. It's just that one note, and that note can sound really bluesy, or it can sound very aggressive too. So this has that weird aggressive jazzy sound, so it kind of works well. And then that whole, again, diminished E diminished thing I was saying over the chord there, which is a real mind bender to be going back and forth and just making real use of it. But you can just take little parts of it. And overall, the other stuff there's a lot of chords moving around. You can even just focus on, I'd say, either sticking with that A minor pentatonic A blues scale, or just kind of playing some of the chord tones and navigating along there. And then for getting into the chorus part, the same thing before. He kind of plays leads around Bob's singing, and just a lot of that's, pentatonic stuff. And then for A is an easy way to navigate it, and then getting back to the A minor stuff for the last part of it there. But let's now listen to the jam part, which has 3 different parts, 3 different keys. I'm just going to show you a little clip from each and show you what's going on for Jerry and Bob. So for when it gets into the first kind of long jam here, it's now doing something even different. It's going to D, right? D mixolydian. So you're going along, and sometimes they do this: C, G over B, D, they don't play it every time. It's kind of loose. Like sometimes one person's playing, the other isn't. This and that. It's all kind of now and then, kind of as they go along. It's more just hang on. So just playing D different ways as you go along, throwing in some C's here and there, G's. You know, just really use your ear for Bob's approach. Now for Jerry, it's just straight up D, Mixolydian. You can use pentatonic too, whatever. This is just more very classic dead Jerry stuff. You know, it's like a little break from all this different crazy minor jazz, aggressive sounding stuff. And that's with that part. Now moving on to the next part, it's getting back to the main kind of key here of just playing A minor. And Bob's just playing A minor. And you can just play, you know, if you know different ways. This is a good way if you don't know a lot of different voices. Just figure out the notes. Okay, you got A, C, E. If you want to just play regular A minor, or you want to do the A minor 7. So you got A, C, E, G. You don't need the E. You don't even need the A. Just you know, get like some like C and G and play them different places. And that's how you really start to get to know the fretboard. And just move all around. And there's a lot more things we could go on there, but this is going to turn into like some hour, 2 hour like type of thing. So that's, you know, a simple approach for Bob. For Jerry, he's just doing again A minor stuff, A blues scale, A minor pentatonic, and then the A minor scale itself, which has that flat 6, and that's a real characteristic in there. How much you want to hit that up, you know, it's kind of on you. And then moving on to the last part, it's now getting to an E minor. So for Bob, just hitting E minor, and you can do E minor 7. So just like the A7, just playing as many ways as you want. You know, mixing it up. And then for Jerry, this is now, instead of E minor scale, it's more of an E Dorian, is what I'm hearing. But sometimes maybe he's hitting that up there. People may argue, this, that, I don't know. These types of things, it's like they're out there. There's just a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom. It's not like, it doesn't sound very clear cut. It's exactly this, or exactly that. But I hear it as a Dorian. And the only difference is that major 6 note. A C sharp versus A minor has a flat 6. Like regular, they call it a natural A minor. But I hear a little bit of both, leaning more towards the major 6 there, Dorian. So try out both ways. Try out just using that pentatonic. You want to keep it simple with the blues scale. And that's all he's got going on there. There's really only one more part here. This is the breakdown section. Let's give this a listen and we'll look down at both parts of what is going on. He is playing in 6 at first, going like this. This is just breaking down after the solo to an A7, and he's going, and then going, playing in 5ths now. And get that A droning. So, I'm sorry, stops on this, and that gives you an A7, and then this right here gives you like the sus. Sounds really hanging there, floating. And then he does that 4 times, and then he goes to G, like here, or again, however you want. And then, back to the A sus to kick it back into the tune. And for Jerry, he is doing single notes here, going like this, going sliding up from an A to an A. And then, even though this is an A7, so it should be like a Mixolydian. I hear this one note. He's playing an A major scale. Sometimes these don't always match up perfectly. Maybe it was a mistake, I don't know. And then, sorry, here, and then jumping down here to the major 3rd of A. Does that just the first time, then the other times he goes here. Then does that 3 times. And then on the G, he's doing this little thing right here. It's like a little power chord thing, but high and funky. doing the fifth, root fifth, and then just doing this right here for the E minor, hammering into there here, this little top triad there, root position. Right, and they're back, and then they're back into tune there, and that's it. There's one more jam at the end, but it's the same thing as the last part of the first big jam. So it's just E minor. And it's like 3 solo sections. It's one, it's over the verse chorus part, then it's that long one we looked at with 3 distinct parts, and then the last one is the last part. But it's the same thing. So there's nothing else to talk about there. Oh, this is so long. My voice is cracking. I need water. So if you've even made it this far, this is a lot of stuff, you know. If you're interested in having the chart, you want to really follow along, I'll put a link in the description down below to my Patreon where you can download the chart, and then it's yours. Then you can put it on your iPad, you know, and have it and just chip away at it. I also have the backing track you can try out for Jerry, and I have the one specifically for Bob just on Patreon, so that you can try it along without Bob's part, but Jerry's part's in there to kind of bounce ideas and his approach and all the chords off of that. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video over here over on Patreon. Take care.